What's up guys, Mitchell Watts with Town & Country TV, and today we are talking all about the new 2021 Ford Bronco. As you know, there's 8 million different videos on this vehicle and it's really a lot to take in, but the good news is that every single one of those videos has the exact same thing. It talks about all the different features that Ford wants you to talk about in their press release. Well, in this particular video, we're going to do something completely different. We're going to tell you 20 different things you did not know about the new 2021 Ford Bronco. First up, it's going to be the transmission of choice. Everybody's talking about, hey, this thing has got a 7-speed manual transmission. Really, it's a 6-speed with a crawler gear, but everybody's talking about that motor. What you probably didn't know is that transmission is only available on the 2.3 liter EcoBoost 4-cylinder motor. If you want the bigger 2.7 liter EcoBoost, you automatically have to go with a 10-speed automatic transmission. While we're on the topic of transmission, the next thing you need to know is that the manual transmission is also not available on the Sasquatch package. Now, I personally have a problem with that because I told my wife, I said, hey, I think our new Bronco, because I've got one spec'd out. By the way, subscribe with the bell notification turned on if you want to see that video, because we'll be posting that here very, very soon about what my spec is that I personally chose. But anyways, I told my wife, I said, hey, it'd be awesome. We can get a manual transmission with the Sasquatch package. And she said, well, but if you do that, I can't drive it. I was like, maybe that's the point. Anyways, let's move on to the next one. Next up, let's talk about the Sasquatch package, since we've already kind of mentioned it. Did you know that the Sasquatch package actually lifts the Bronco 3 inches compared to the normal base model Ford Bronco? So it's something that you need to know. It allows you to clear those 35s very, very easy. The next thing you didn't know about the Bronco is going to be about the reservation process. As you probably already know, the reservations went live July the 14th, and they're going to continue to stay live until Ford turns those reservations into physical orders. Ford is expecting that to be around the December timeframe for the 2-door and 4-door Bronco, but they are actually placing orders for the Bronco Sport right now, which, by the way, if you haven't already placed your reservation, we would love to be your dealer on the new Bronco. We are advertising and guaranteeing no dealer markups, nothing above MSRP, no automotive dealer markup, nothing like that on our Broncos. If you place a reservation with us, you are automatically guaranteed to get the Bronco at MSRP. And the good news is that this vehicle is scheduled to potentially have A, X, Z, and D plan pricing, supplier pricing discounts. So if you've got that, we would love to help you honor that. But the link is going to be down below if you want some more information, or do you want to just go ahead and straight place the reservation through our dealership. That link will be down in that description, the very first link you'll find. The next feature that you probably didn't know about the Bronco is going to be the materials of the actual vehicle itself. Now, as everybody knows, the Ford F-150, the Expedition, the Super Duty, Ford's going to a lot of military-grade aluminum alloy body with an ultra-high-strength steel frame. That is not the case on the particular Bronco. So the body on the Bronco is going to be made out of a normal steel, but all of the doors, like the tailgate, the swing open tailgate, the doors, the hood, that will be made out of aluminum. So a lot of the moving panels inside of the Bronco are going to be aluminum. Most everything else is going to be a version of steel. And speaking of steel, the next feature you probably didn't know about the Bronco are going to be the sport tubes on the Ford Bronco. Some people call it a roll bar or whatever you want, but basically the rack that goes above you to keep your head from getting squished if you roll it over. Well, a lot of people don't realize that that particular roll cage is not supposed to be called a roll cage, but the sport tubes on that particular vehicle are going to be made out of boron steel. And the reason they do that is it's an ultra high strength steel that allows them to go with a thinner metal, but it also is so much stronger that they were able to get a smaller pillar to give you more room to actually look out the top. It's one of the reasons that Ford is able to advertise, hey, you sitting in the back seat, you can look up and you don't have a bar that goes across blocking your view. Boron steel is one of the ways they were able to accomplish that. The next thing you probably didn't know about the Bronco is in regards to the actual reservations. So I've had a lot of people say that I got to get my reservation in early because if I don't, it might be who knows how when. And that is correct. We're not allowed to share how many Bronco reservations we as a dealership have had, but it is insane how many Bronco reservations we've had. I guess because all these other dealerships are advertising $10, $15, $20,000 over sticker. We're not doing that. As I've already mentioned to you, if you place a reservation with us, automatically MSRP or supplier discount if you happen to have one of those supplier discounts. But anyways, what Ford Motor Company is doing is they are building these Broncos in the approximate order that the reservations are placed, meaning that if I was the very first one, then Josh, the cameraman, he was the second person. If we order two different trim levels, they might get built out of order, meaning that Ford kind of wants to batch build a lot of wild tracks together. They want to batch build a whole lot of Big Bend trim levels together, and they'll do that to make sure that there's some efficiencies in the actual manufacturing process. So all of that to say is, yes, they will build them in order of the reservations, but it's approximately, and it might vary just a little bit by a few different vehicles, so that way that they can actually batch build a couple of these different trims together. Another thing you didn't know about the Bronco is going to be about changing reservations. I've had a lot of people ask us, because we're advertising no dealer markups on these Bronco reservations, hey man, can I switch to your dealership? The answer is yes, you can. What you have to do is you have to actually reach out to Ford directly. So you have to reach out to Ford customer service, just request us, Town & Country Ford, 5041 Ford Parkway in Bessemer, Alabama. But our sister store is also doing it, which is 1103 Martin Street North in Pell City, Alabama. So you can request those automatically, just contact Ford directly. We'll be happy to help take you from that direction. But there's going to be another thing that you probably didn't know, and that is going to be the reservation itself, meaning that if I ordered a Wild Track and I ordered an Outer Banks, and oh my gosh, I really meant to order myself a base model, and I meant to order my wife a Black Diamond. If I want to change my actual trims, yes, you can completely change everything from the trim level to the options to the color to the motor. Everything is customizable from what Ford is telling us at this point in time. Once again, this video is being cut on July 21st, so keep that in mind. Ford does reserve the right to change their mind, but at this point in time, they are telling us that we are able to change the reservation once those reservations turn into orders sometime around the December time frame. This next one might be my favorite thing. You probably did not know about the Bronco, and really I'd never thought about it either, but Goodyear makes a fantastic tire, the Goodyear Wrangler. You've probably heard of it. They sell a lot of them, and guess what? There's going to be a Goodyear Wrangler tire on the Bronco. Well, Ford has actually reached out to Goodyear and they said, hey, we don't really feel comfortable putting a Wrangler name on the outside of the tire on the Ford Bronco, especially since that's the direct competitor. And so I think it's pretty cool that Ford Motor Company has gotten a special stamping of the tire. That way it only showcases the Wrangler name on the inside of the tire. So if you're just walking around your truck, you're not going to see Wrangler written anywhere on your Bronco. I think that's pretty cool. I've had a lot of people say that, oh yeah, you should have put a straight axle in the Ford Bronco. Well, there's a couple of downsides and a couple of reasons that Ford did not go that direction on the new Bronco, and let me tell you why. This is going to be the next thing you didn't know. So the main thing is the straight axle is great for suspension articulation, but it's not good for high-speed off-roading, but it's also impossible to get things like lane departure and some of these automated driving systems that the Bronco will have available in it, like lane keeping and things like that. And so the downside to the straight front axle is you can get death wobble, and trust me, I understand the Super Duty has had its small little bouts with the death wobble as well, but the nice part is this is an independent front suspension system, and keep in mind that rack and pinion steering system, the steering of the tires is dedicated on the component on the inside. When you've got a straight axle in a steering box like the Jeep Wrangler does, the steering of this tire is really completely dependent on the steering of this tire. And so it can cause a lot of issues when you hit a rock or a boulder on this one, that it'll automatically cause this tire to go haywire. And there's just a lot of positive sides of going with the independent off-road suspension system that the Bronco has. And it also allows you to do some crazy things like the Ford F-150 Raptor has got. I think you're going to be seeing a Bronco Raptor version. They might not call it a Raptor, but they're going to go with a crazy version of the Raptor just as soon as the buzz dies down in about 2 or 3 years on the Bronco. So I think it yields itself for future-proofing the suspension system itself. Next up is going to be the fuel tank size. So the thing about the Bronco is it's going to have a very small fuel tank. Have a 16.9 gallon fuel tank on the 2-door, and it'll have a 20.8 gallon fuel tank on the 4-door variant. Now keep in mind that if the vehicle gets somewhere roughly, I'm guessing, 21 miles per gallon, you're actually going to be looking, I'm looking at my cheat sheet, my notes here, 355 miles to the tank or 437 miles to the tank on the 2-door and the 4-door respectively. Next up, let's talk about the dimensions of the Bronco compared to the Jeep Wrangler. So the 2-door Jeep Wrangler has a overall length of the vehicle of 166.8 inches, and the Bronco has 173.7 inches. So what you're looking at is the 2-door to 2-door, the Bronco is a good bit bigger. Let's talk about the 4-door Jeep Wrangler versus the 4-door Bronco, and you're going to be looking at almost identical overall lengths between the two. In fact, they're within 1 inch difference between the two, almost like Ford was gunning for somebody specific. The next thing you probably didn't know about the Bronco is going to be the difference in the transfer cases. So depending on the engine and transmission that you pick out, there's going to be 2 different transfer cases available. You have one, which is going to be the normal shift on the fly transfer case that everybody's kind of used to, but the other option that you can go with is an electromechanical transfer case, which allows you to, the system to automatically select the drive mode. So you select the drive mode, it automatically changes it from 4 high, 4 low, or even all-wheel drive, depending on your particular situation. Another thing you didn't know about the Bronco is going to be the towing capacities. So I've had a lot of people complain, oh, the Bronco doesn't tow enough, the Bronco doesn't tow enough. Well, it's not designed for towing. And one of the ways that we can prove that is how well that suspension articulates. But what you didn't know is that the suspension is designed for the same towing capacities between the Bronco and the Jeep Wrangler. Both of them tow 3,500 pounds when properly equipped. The Bronco comes available with anywhere from a 30-inch tire to all the way to a 35-inch tire, depending on the package and the trim that you pick out. Now, what you probably didn't know is that, once again, depending on the different package and trim that you pick out, you can go with Ford's 2-inch leveling kit or lift kit, and it is rumored that that vehicle will fit a 37-inch tire with a Ford factory 2-inch lift. Now, if that's gonna be the case, that's gonna be absolutely crazy. I've even heard a couple of different people on YouTube saying that you might can fit the 37s even with no extra lift above and beyond what's already on that Sasquatch package. You've probably seen pictures of this Bronco right here, and I've had a lot of people ask me, man, what option is that I can get those doors on my Bronco? That is actually an accessory that Ford is estimated to potentially come out at the time of launch on the Bronco. As you probably know, there's over 200 accessories that Ford is planning on launching on day one of this Bronco. They realize that the accessory market is a great way for them to make money, and they're going to capitalize on it. So that door is not a Ford factory door. It is simply an accessory that should be available come the springtime of 2021. This next option is going to be something that a lot of people already know, and that is going to be the ability to store the 4 doors in the back of the Bronco. So if you go with the 4-door Bronco, you can actually take the doors off, set them in the cargo area because there is no frame on the actual door itself, and you can store those doors and take them with you. So that way if it rains, you can just pop the doors back on and keep carrying on with life. Now, what you probably didn't know is that same feature is not available on the 2-door model. And so that is something you definitely need to know before ordering the 2-door versus 4-door. I know a lot of people will want to go the 4-door for that route specifically. The next thing you need to know about the Bronco is going to be the sway bar disconnect. So the Jeep Wrangler has got this feature, and I think it was revolutionary, but I think they missed some things. Meaning that if the Jeep Wrangler wants to do the automatic sway bar disconnect, the vehicle has to be parked on perfectly flat ground, hit the button, it unlocks them. And then when you want to go in and put that sway bar disconnect back together so you can drive it, you have to be parked, yep, you guessed it, on a perfectly flat level. As you can see the video right there, you can have the suspension completely articulated, hit the button, and guess what? The thing's going to automatically articulate even more with the click of a button. And the best news is that this vehicle will automatically reconnect that sway bar once the vehicle has found a good opportunity. So you don't have to park and stop what you're doing in and find a perfectly flat piece of ground, I think it's a great way that Ford has stepped up the game in the off-road market. And there you have it. That is our video that talks about the 20, give or take a few, 20 different things you didn't know about the new 2021 Ford Bronco. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to smash that thumbs up button. It really goes a long way with the YouTube algorithm in promoting this vehicle to other people that might find this information useful. If you haven't already done so, make sure to click on the link down in the description so that way you can reserve your Bronco at our dealership. Once again, 0 dealer markup on all Bronco reservations. And if you haven't already done so, make sure you are subscribed to the channel with the bell notification turned on so you don't miss a single video.